Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and this is a tutorial for the houndstooth stitch. So as with all my tutorials, if this is a standalone tutorial, the left-handed version will start as the right-handed one finishes. There'll be a timestamp in the description box for when that is going to start. But I do know that some of you like to watch both for me, and that's great. Thank you very much. And if this part of a compilation, then obviously the left-handed one will be a separate video. So this is the houndstooth stitch, and it's made with two colours. I'm going to do a white and a red. These are both Stylecraft Special DK, so they're both the same thickness. And I'm going to use a 4.5mm crochet hook. And obviously, if you were doing this, you'd need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. But this is just a stitch sample, and so we're not going to need any of that. I've got a bit of a long end for some reason of this one. So I'm going to start with a white, and we're going to carry our yarn with us while we're working. And that'll become apparent as we go on. So you just make a slip knot, which you can do however you normally do. And then we're going to just chain up any odd number. So to chain, it's a yarn over and pull through. A yarn over and pull through. So just any odd number. I'm going to make a swatch now of around about 19, I guess. So I'm going to pause the video and I shall come back to you once I have my chain done. Okay, have my chain, and so into the second chain from the hook. So this loop isn't part of it. This is the first, and here's the second. I'm just going to insert my hook into that stitch and pull up a loop by yarning over and pulling through. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those, and that is a UK double crochet, or a single in the US. So if I say double crochet and you work in American terms, you'll know that I mean your single. And now we're going to do a treble crochet in the next stitch, which is a double crochet in the US. Okay, so if I say treble, you'll know I mean your double. Those are the only two stitches we're going to do. So that is as confusing as it will be. So we're going to yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through two, yarn over and pull through two. And we're going to repeat that all the way along. So in the next chain, I'm going to do my UK double. And then in the next one, I'm going to do my UK treble. So there's a couple of basic rules for this, and that is your row always starts with a UK double, which is a single crochet, remember, and always ends with the UK treble, which remember is your double in the US terms. So it starts with the double, ends with the treble. Okay, that's the only kind of thing you've got to watch for. Okay, so we're just going to do that all the way along, one after the other. Okay, be a little boring to carry on watching me do that, and I know it's not far now, but I'm going to pause it anyway, and I shall come back to you once I have all of my stitches complete. I'll meet you at the very last one. There we are. So I'm almost right to the end of my last stitch to do, and I'm going to do a UK treble, as I said, but I'm going to change colour on this one. So I'm going to pull through two, and then I'm just going to bring in my new colour and complete that stitch with this one. I'm just going to do a chain and pull it down very low because I don't want that to move. Okay, so we're going to work over our white yarn as we go. So I'm just going to pull that over here. Okay, so the very first stitch, remember, is always the UK double crochet. So we're going to do that in our first stitch. We'll secure these ends at the end. There won't be many. So as we started with our double, we're going to go with our treble. And I hope it's not confusing for you. Just remember, UK double is a single and a UK treble is a double. So as I'm working over that yarn, I'm going to repeat that all the way along, all the way to the end, just the same as before. one and then the other. Okay, and we're going to work over that. It's not a tail, is it? It's the white yarn. Just going to work over that all the way along. And if you can see, what you're doing is you're doing your UK double in your previous treble. So your single is going in your double if you're US, and vice versa. Okay, so we'll do that all the way to the end. Don't forget to take that other colour with you. It saves on hundreds of ends. Okay, so I shall pause it then. I'll catch up with you again once we get to the end of this row. Okay, so I've made it all the way to the end. I just got to do my last stitch, so I'm going to go in my very last one. Didn't go through my 2 loops. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my yarn. I'm going to go through 2, then I'm going to drop this yarn and just pick up the white one. I don't want that to get too baggy, and I'm going to finish that stitch with the white. Okay, now I'm going to work over this red, which you won't see because you're just going to go over with the red row. All right, so we're going to carry that one with us, working over the red yarn. So I don't think that went over. There we go. First stitch, as always, is our double crochet, and then we're going to do our treble all the way to the end again, alternating between the 2. Now traditionally this pattern, this stitch pattern, looks so much I won't say better, but it's a traditional black and white monochrome kind of stitch pattern, but it also does work really well with red. Okay, you can see how this is working out, this houndstooth pattern. Okay, so didn't have much red yarn pulled out there, so it was pulling up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do that now again all the way to the end, and I shall catch up with you once we get to the last stitch. It reminds me of the heartbeat trace in a way, and a very nostalgic stitch, because as I was growing up, my mum had a lot of garments back in the 60s with this pattern. It was very much a kind of a style of the 60s, the black and whites, and this pattern. Okay, so we changed colour again. We're going to turn, make sure we take this yarn with us, and our first stitch, as always, is our UK double, and our second is our treble, and we always finish with a treble, always start with that double. And of course, if you're in the US, that is, you always start with your single and you always end with your double. I wish we had the same terms. It would make so much more, would it just be so much easier, wouldn't it? Never mind. Can't change it all now. Okay, so as you can see, that is working out beautifully. Really, I really love this stitch. It's so nice. Anyway, I'm going to pause it again, and I will catch up with you once we get to the end, and we'll talk about what to do next. Okay, so I've made it all the way to the end and I've changed colour, and what I'm going to do now is repeat that process a few more times. I don't think you need to watch me do that, so I'm going to pause it then, and I'll come back to you once this has grown a bit so that you can see how it works up. Okay, so I've done a little ways and you can see how it's working up. We take this out, so it is like this on the back and like this on the front, so you can choose which way round you like it, but I always think whichever you've done at the first row is the right way round. But I like it a lot, I really do, and I love it in black and white. It's very kind of, it reminds me of very much so of Chanel, So a lot of things that I've seen in Houndstooth in black and white. So yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hopefully you'll be informed when new videos pop up. As far as this goes, the only thing you have to do now is, if you are ending off, secure this end, and you mustn't forget this one, which we've not done anything with. So as well as hiding this, we need to secure this one off, because all we did was start off and we haven't secured it. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here. I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous basket weave stitch and how you can make it. This is used 3 stitches wide and 3 stitches this way. You can make it with 4. You can make it 5 wide. You can do whatever you want, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So just a note on this tutorial then, this is if it's part of a stitch compilation, the left-handed version will be separate to the right, but if it is a standalone stitch tutorial, the left-handed version will start when the right-handed finishes, and there will be a timestamp in the description box, although I know many of you like to watch both for me. Okay, so while I'm going to clear this away and get started, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed, hopefully, when more stitch tutorials or granny squares, all sorts of goodies pop up. Okay, just going to pause it then while I get ready to start. Okay, so the multiple for this then, because we are doing sets of 3, is 6. So if you were doing sets of 4, obviously it'd be 8. Okay, because that's 2 lots, each way, one each facing each way. So we're doing multiples of 6, plus we want 4. Okay, so we're just going to make a slip knot. Now this is DK weight yarn that I'm using. I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook, but you can use any yarn and hook for this. Just make sure you use the corresponding size hook to yarn. Okay, so I'm going to just do a swatch now for you, and I'm going to chain up maybe 22. So I'm just going to yarn over and pull through, and that is my chain. And that will be boring to watch me make them, so I'm going to pause it then, and I shall come back to you once I have them. Okay, so here we are. I've got my chain, and I'm going to just go straight in, and in the 3rd chain, so this loop doesn't count, it's the actual chains, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to make a UK treble crochet. So that is a double crochet in the US. So if I say treble and you work in American terms, you'll know that I mean your double crochet. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over, go into that chain, yarn over and pull up my loop. I've got 3 on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2 of them, yarn over and pull through the other 2. And I'm going to place 1 in every single chain all the way along. So this is great for making baskets or bags or garments of any kind, blankets. And if you wanted to do this in the back bump to secure a nicer edge, then you could, but I'm just going to place it in the chain just as you see. Okay, so 1 in every single stitch all the way along. I shall pause the video then and come back to you once I've got all of my stitches. Okay, so here we are, all of the stitches, all nice and the same. So we're going to start by turning our work. I'm going to do a chain, and I'm going to pull it down so it's non-existent. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I don't do turning chains. I usually do a stack at the beginning, which is a stack double crochet in the US and a stack treble. No, stack double in the UK, stack single. But I'm not going to do that in this particular instance, because our stitches are kind of, although they are going to be UK trebles or US double crochets, they're pulled down. So my first stitch will be a half treble, which is a half double in the USA. So we're going to yarn over, go straight in the first stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 of them. And because that stitch, if I don't do that chain and pull it low, you get this little kind of thing up here at the side. It's not particularly nice. Okay, so that's our first stitch, and I'm going to yarn over, and in the next 3 stitches I'm going to do a front post treble, which is a front post double crochet in the USA. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to go in between my very first stitch there and this one, and I'm going to come out the other side. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull up my loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, so I'm going to do that in the next 2 as well. So I'm going to go in between the one I've just worked and the next one, come out the other side, yarn over, pull the loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, through 2. Now you might have noticed I pulled up a little tiny bit there. Okay, so we're going to do this last one. I'll show you what I mean. We pull up that loop and we pull it up a little way so it's clear of this stitch, and we finish. So we have now made 3 front post treble crochets, or doubles if they're US. So if I say front post treble, you know I mean your front post double. Now we're going to do back posts. So we're going to yarn over again, but instead of going in here and out this side, we're going to go round the back. It's a bit trickier, and we're going to come through there, go the other way around the stitch, yarn over and pull up that loop. Okay, pull it up a little ways, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now you can see it's pulled this stitch to the back. These ones are pulled to the front, but these 3 are going to be pulled to the back. So we yarn over and we come through the last stitch in between the one we've just worked and the next one, and we're going to get the whole stitch on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull up that loop, pull it up a little ways, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we have 2. We need 1 more. So we're going to go into the next one, I'm going to pull up that loop, pull through 2, through 2. So what it's done is pulled those stitches to the back, so that what we're seeing is this horizontal part instead. That's what's going to create the basket weave. Okay, so now we want to go back to doing 3 front posts. So this is the one we just worked around. We've got 3 there, 3 there. We're going to go into the next one and repeat those first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. So if you're not familiar with these stitches, it might be wise to watch the first few rounds and maybe then try and do it with me. So now we're going to yarn over and we're going to do the back post. So we're going to come from the back to the front, all the way around that stitch, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, back to the front posts. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Now we've got 4 stitches remaining. We're going to do our 4 back posts. 3 back posts. What am I talking about? 2. And the last one, 3. In our last stitch we're going to do a half treble crochet, okay, just the same as we did at the beginning. And there we have our first one. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1, pull it right down, so we don't want to see it, we don't want it confusing with a stitch, but in our first stitch we're going to do our half treble crochet, and then we're just going to repeat what we just did. Okay, and we're going to do 3 front post trebles around these. It becomes easier in this round because they are sticking up nicely for you, and it is just so easy to go and do your 3. Then we're going to switch to the back post, so you're going to need to find them. They will be hanging back. Okay, 1, 2, last one. If you can't see it, it's because it hangs back a little way, and we just need to make sure, so you can pull that one, you can see you've done that one, and you need to go around this one here. Can be a little tricky to see. Now we go back to the front post again, and we're going to repeat that. The 3 front posts followed by 3 back posts, and we're making another horizontal line. Okay, so we're making that basket weave. You can see the start of it. Okay then, so I want you to carry on. 3 front posts, 3 back posts, 3 front posts, 3 back posts, and I'll catch up with you when we get to the last stitch. Okay, so we're at the last stitch, and we're just going to do our half treble crochet in that last stitch, and it will keep our ends nice and straight, because as I say, these do pull down a little bit even though you pull up a little ways. Okay, so we're going to chain 1 and cinch it low, and then we're just going to do our half treble in the first stitch, which is what's keeping our edges nice. So now what we've been doing is front post, back post, front post, back post, but we're going to change this up. Now we're going to do a back post in our front posts. So we start with 3 back post stitches, 1, 2, 3, and now these are our back posts. We're going to front post them, so we're going to go in between and out to the other side. You don't get to see so much of this stitch because it has been pulled back. Okay, so you have to kind of look in there for them. So we're pulling those now to the front. Okay, and in our front post we're going to complete a back post. And we're going to repeat that all the way to the end. So these were our back posts. We're going to front post into those 3. So where we are back posting, we're front posting, and where we were front posting, we're now back in. So I'm going to do 3 front posts there, 3 back posts there, 3 front posts there, and I'll catch up with you at the end of this row. Okay, as you can see, it's changing up. So what we're going to do now is our last stitch in here, our half treble, half double US, and that row is now, we're going to repeat that twice. So we go 3 rows of each. Okay, so we're starting now with our 1 chain and our half treble crochet, exactly the same as before, and now we're going to back post 3. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and we're now front posting 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I want you to repeat this all the way along. Do your half treble in there, and then repeat this row 1 more time. So we're going to do our very first 1 chain, cinch it down, and the half treble, and go back along here. So we're going to finish this row. We're going to do 1 more exactly the same, starting with 3 back post trebles, and I will catch up with you once I have got to the end of this row and done 1 more. Okay, so we've got to the end, and to carry on we're just going to do our half treble at the start, making that pulled down chain before I do. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our first front post for 3, and that's all we're going to do now is alternate between the two. So we're going to go find these back posts and turn them around, make them front post stitches. Don't think I quite got that one right. It happens to us all. And now we're going to turn those to the back for 3. So if that looked a little too long just now when you looked at it, this shortens that and makes it the right length. Okay, so back to front. So 3 for front post. So now each row, we're going to do 3 rows of this, and each will start with a front post first, and then we just alternate between the two. 3 rows of front post in the first few stitches, 3 rows of back post in the first few stitches, and that's it now. That is the repeat of the pattern. Nice and simple, but very effective. And as I said before, if you wanted to, you could do 4 stitches. You just add that to the multiple, or 5 stitches, add that to the multiple, but you will need to do more rows of each one to make it kind of a square basket weave, if you like. So if you've done 4 stitches, you might need 4 rows. You just increase the amount of times you repeat the row if you're gonna go up more stitches. And so the last stitch, we've got half treble. So there we go. That's all we're going to do from now on. Is this row will repeat twice more, and then we'll switch back to doing back posts, and you can do that for as long as you want. So hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye for now. Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the stripe granny stitch. So working in the flat, you know, rather than a square, we're going to make it so that you can make a big blanket, a scarf, or just little squares made in stripes. So I've used a self-striping yarn, but you can change colour every couple of rows, every 3 rows, however many you want to do. Let's just make that loop nice and big, and we can take the hook out. So changing colour is very simple. You can either just end off this colour here, completely end off the yarn, start a new one by making your first stitch in the new colour in the next stitch, or you can just go through the last 2 loops with the new colour, just as you know, many times you've done that before, I dare say. So I'm going to show you this for my stitch tutorial, and if it's a standalone stitch tutorial, the left-handed version will be at the end. So there will be a timestamp in the description box which will take you to the left-handed version, but I know a lot of you like to watch both with me. If this forms part of a compilation of stitch tutorials, then the left-handed version will be separate. So I've just used a DK weight yarn and a 4.5mm crochet hook. So I'm going to clear all this away and we'll get started. Okay, so to make the granny stripe stitch, we need a chain that is multiples of 3 plus 2. So I'm going to do my chain. So I've got a 4.5mm crochet hook and a DK weight yarn. Now this is not the thinnest of DKs, but you could get away with 4mm with this, but I just want to make sure that it's nice and big for you to see. So I'm going to just do my slip knot. You can do yours however you normally would. And we need to do a multiple of 3 plus 2. So I'm just going to pause the video while I get my chain. You can do yours any length you want if you want to work along with me. Okay, so I've done 29 because I always try and do around 30 for my swatches and tutorials. So I've done my my chain, and what I'm going to do now is go into the second chain from the hook. So this is the loop that's on the hook, so that's not part of it. We're going to skip this one, go in the next and make a UK double crochet, just nice and simple. And we're going to go in every single chain and make a UK double crochet. So if I say double crochet and you work in American terms, that is a single crochet for you guys. Okay, so if I say double crochet, you'll know I mean your single. Okay, so that's all the way to the end of the row. Nice and simple. I'm going to pause the video then, and I shall catch up with you once I've got to the end and I have my row completed. So I've made it all the way to the end and I've gone into my last one. I'm just going to turn my work, and in this first stitch I'm going to do the stack double crochet, which is a UK term. It's a stack single crochet in the US, and to do that I'm just going to make the same as I have been doing, no chain, just one UK double crochet. And then in this left post, left leg, I'm going to reinsert the hook into there and do the same again. So we have got up to the height of 2 chain, and that's our first equivalent of a UK treble. Okay, so I'm going to place one more in the same space. So it's a partial cluster. We're going to skip 2, skip, and in the third one we're going to do 3 UK treble crochets. So if I say UK treble crochet and you work in American terms, then you'll know I mean your double crochets. Okay, so we're going to skip 2, skip, and 3 more UK trebles in there. It's a bit confusing to keep saying all of the stitches in both, so you just know that if I say treble and you're working in American terms, then that's what I mean. Okay, we're going to repeat that. Skip 2, skip, and in the third we're going to do another cluster of 3. So that's nice and simple. This is a granny stripe, so this is our granny stitch, and I'm going to repeat that all the way to the end. Skip 2, 1 in there. I'm going to go all the way along. I'll pause this video. That's the repeat, skip 2 and our cluster, and I'll meet up with you when we've got the last few stitches remaining. Okay, so I'm almost at the end and I have 3 stitches remaining. I'm going to skip, and I'm going to place 2 UK treble crochets in that last stitch. Oh, I only went through 1 loop. Where's my other loop? Where is my other loop? That's the trouble sometimes when you've got these kind of variegated yarns. You can't always see where you're going. So 1 and 2. We started with 2 and we've ended with 2. That's just a bit of a long, that will just work its way flat, don't worry. Okay, so we've now got 2 at the start, 2 at the end, and our clusters all in between. So we're just going to turn our work and we're going to go into this very first stitch, no chain. We're just going to do that stack again, exactly the same as before. So go through into that left leg, and we've done it. So into this space, we're now going to work in the spaces between our clusters. We're going to place 3 UK treble crochets in there. If you hear a knocking, that's just my wall genie. Gets a bit stuck on my bag at times, so sorry about that. Okay, in the next space, we're going to place 3. So this is just like when you make a granny square. We're now just doing the granny clusters in between our clusters. And we're going to do that all the way along until we get to the end of the row. And that's how it's looking. Okay, I'm going to pause it then. I'll catch up with you when we get to the end and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so I have one space remaining. I'm going to place my 3 stitches in there. And just as we started with 1 stitch on its own, we're going to end by going into our last stitch. And because we made that stack, we have 2 loops of a stitch there to go into. Okay, so we're going to put 1 UK treble in that last stitch, and that will keep our edges lovely and straight, and it also gives us that lovely 2 loops to go into at the end of the row. Okay, so the next row then, our first stitch will be a stack in our first stitch. Just bear with me a second, I've got the postman at the door. Sorry about that, it's that time of year when lots of parcels start arriving. Shouldn't complain. Okay, so now in this first space here, we're going to do, well, we're just going to go in the same stitch and make our second. So if you remember, we had, on our first row, we had 2. So we've just got the same 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And then we're going to go into our granny spaces and do our granny clusters. So you could go into the space for that second stitch, but I think it might drop down too much, and I didn't want it to be a different height and cause a bit of oddness at the end of the rows. So we're going to just go in the same stitch at that beginning, and we're going to carry on doing our granny clusters all the way along our work. And I'll pause the video then in a second, and I will catch up with you when we get to the final stitches and show you what we do at the end. Okay, so I'm all the way to the end, and what we're going to do is going to go in our last stitch. Remember, we've got those lovely 2 loops there, and we're going to place 2. We started with 2 and we end with 2. See what I mean? It gives you this lovely straight edges appearing. Okay, so this next round then, this one we've just done was a repeat of row 2. Remember, row 1 was just this foundation row here, so we repeated row 2. Now we're going to repeat row 3. We're going to repeat row 3, yeah. Okay. I always think of these as row 1, row 2, but it's not. Okay, so now we are going to do a stack at the beginning. So with no chain, we're just going to go into that first stitch and make our stack. Okay, and now in our first space, we're going to place 3. So it's just alternate. That's what we're doing. We're making these alternate. And now we're going to go into our spaces just as we have been with our granny clusters. Nice and simple. It's a great stitch for just getting on with life, and a nice mindless thing to make. If you're watching TV, you can even not even look at it. If you're making a big blanket, you just feel where your holes are. You don't really need to take your eyes off it, but I mean, possibly. Wouldn't like to steer you wrong. Okay, so basically then, we're nearly at the end. I might as well carry on with you and get to the last stitch. It's a roving yarn, this, and sometimes it gets a bit thicker, sometimes it gets a bit thinner, but I think it's this hook. It's very slippy, uber slippy today. Okay, so we're going to do 3 in our last space. And then just 1 in our last stitch. Don't forget, we've got those lovely 2 loops, and we can make our last UK treble in that. Okay, so now we're just going to alternate between row 2 and row 3. Row 2, row 3, row 2, row 3. And it's as simple as that. So I'm going to pause it then, because it would be boring to watch me keep doing this. And I'll come back to you when I've got a nice little length to show you. Okay, so this is how it looks with a fair few rows done. And I love the way the stack makes this edge so straight. It also makes it quite a chunkier edge. So if you were making a big blanket, when you come to pick up stitches along this edge, it also makes that easier, because you've got a more substantial thing at the end to go into. So you can maybe go in this one and this one, and it's easier to pick up along the side than when you do the chains. So that's how it looks, and I love this a lot. I also did this as a granny square many years ago, just striping, which is really cool. Okay, so I hope you like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye for now. Hi everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the Catherine wheel stitch, and for this I've just used 2 colours, but you can just change colour every couple of rows and it looks pretty stunning. So it's basically lots and lots of obviously Catherine wheels. So just a little note on this tutorial: if this is a standalone tutorial, the left-handed version will start after the right-handed finish. In the description box you will find a timestamp that will tell you where that one is, although I do know that many of you like to watch both for me, and I thank you for that. If you could like and share and hype this video, it would be really good for my channel, and I would appreciate that. So if this forms part of a compilation, then the left-handed compilation will obviously be separate. Okay, thank you. I will just pause this for a second while I clear away and we'll get started. Okay, so we're going to make a slip knot, and we're going to chain our multiple, which is a multiple of 8 plus 2. Okay, so to chain it's just yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. Okay, so I'm just going to do a swatch now. So I'm going to pause the video while I make my chains in a multiple of 8 plus 2. So I'm going to do 34 stitches, 34 chain. Okay, so in the second chain from the hook, this loop doesn't count, there's our first. Okay, in the second one we're going to make a UK double crochet, which is a single crochet in the US. So if I say double crochet, you'll know I mean a single. We're going to skip 3, and then in the fourth one we're going to make UK treble crochets, which are doubles for you guys who follow in US terms, and we're going to do 9. So 1, 2, can't see, 1, 2, 3. In the fourth we're going to do 9 UK treble crochets. Okay, so that is through 2 and through 2 9 times. Okay, so that is quite a curly kind of vibe going on now. So we're going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the fourth one, 1, 2, 3, in this one here, we're going to make a UK double crochet. So that's kind of anchored that down. I'm going to skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and in the fourth one, we're going to do 9 again. Oops. Okay, that's our second one. And again, we're going to skip 3. Now just watch that, because sometimes as these are getting bigger, it can distort. So make sure we skip 1, 2, 3 and double crochet into the next one. So that's our repeat all the way to the end of this chain. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll catch up with you once we get to the end. Okay, so we have got to the end and our last stitch was our UK double crochet. If you didn't have that, then somehow with the distorting chains you've missed one. So that's what you need to do. Go back and make sure that your row works out perfectly. So okay, what we're going to do now, this is the first repeat row. This is a 4-row repeat, and you repeat rows 2 to 5. So if you want to jot them down as you go, that's probably a good idea. Okay, so what we're going to do is chain 2, 1 and 2, and in the next 4 stitches we are going to treble 4 together. So we're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop and go through 2 and stop, yarn over into the next stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2 and stop. That's 2, into the 3rd and into the 4th. Now we've got 5 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of them. We're going to chain 3, and then in the next stitch we're going to do a UK double crochet. So we have done all of those together. Okay, now what we're going to do next is chain 3, and now we're going to treble 9 of these together. So we're going to go into the first one once, next one twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. We've got a lot of loops now. We've got to try and get through all of these. Chain 3, and in the next stitch, which is this is the one we came out of, we're going to do our UK double crochet. So because they're the same colour, you can't really see what's going on, but if I'd changed colour, you'd get a good idea of how this is working out. Okay, so now we're going to chain 3, and we're going to do the same again with our 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Through all of those stitches, chain 3, and in the next stitch, this one we came out of, UK double crochet. Okay, so I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to pause the video and I'll catch up with you once I've done my chain 3 and done my double crochet, and we'll finish this row off together. Okay, so I've chained 3 at the end of my double crochet, and now we're going to do 5 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one 5. And we're going to chain 3, turn our work. So you can see now that we are making circles, and every time you work on an even row, that's when you can change colour. So it would have looked better if I'd changed colour on this row, but we'll do it next time. So this is row 3, and what we're going to do now is in the same stitch that we've just come out of, we're going to do 4 UK treble crochets. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so now we need to double crochet into, bear with me a second, got to knock at the door. Sorry about that. So yeah, we need our double crochet, and we're just going to do a double crochet into it. So this stitch here, where all of our stitches meet, we're going to do 9 UK treble crochets in that stitch. So we have gone in a circle now. We're going to find our double crochet from the previous row and do a double crochet into that, and that is now our repeat. So in the stitch where all of our stitches meet, 9 double crochets. Okay, and find the double crochet and do a double crochet. So that's our repeat then. I'm going to pause the video and catch up with you once we get to the end of our row, and I'll show you how we finish this row off. Okay, so we've got to the end, and this is where our last cluster meets. So we're going to do 5 UK trebles in that stitch, just as we sort of did in all of our clusters, but this one at the end is smaller. But on the last one, we're going to change colour this time. I'm going to snip that off and bring in, I'm going to bring in white. So it shows this Catherine wheel stitch up in its glory. So I'm just going to change colour how I normally do, and we'll deal with those ends later. Just make sure that they don't kind of get baggy. Okay, just bear with me one moment while I just clear this out, the other yarn out of the way. Okay, so we're going to turn our work. Not going to bother with the tails because we don't want anything confusing us. In the first stitch, we're just going to do a UK double crochet. We're going to chain 3. So we're repeating what we did before, but it's slightly different. So in the next 9 stitches, we're going to cluster them together. So obviously we didn't start with that the first time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Yarn over and pull through all of those, chain 3 and a double crochet into that stitch there. So now we've changed colour, we're going to do this wheel again. Chain 3 and do the 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Pull through all of those and chain 3 and double crochet into the next stitch. So that's our repeat. So we're doing what we did before, but the row before when we did this, it was obviously we didn't start with a full half a wheel. So I'm going to pause the video then, and I want you to do the same thing all the way along, and I'll catch up with you at the end, and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so I've done my last 9, chained my 3, and I just need to go into the very last stitch and do my UK double crochet. So now we're going to turn our work, and we are going to, if you want to, chain 1. I don't like to, but I pull it right down, and I'm going to do my UK double crochet in my first stitch, and then in the loop that holds all our stitches together, we're going to do 9 UK double crochets. And then in our double crochet from the previous round, we're just going to do a double crochet. So we're making the next wheel, if you like. So in the stitch that holds all of our loops together, we're going to do 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and double crochet into our double crochet. So it's a nice easy row. I'm going to pause the video then, and I shall catch up with you at the end of this row, and we'll see what we do next. Okay, so we've made it all the way along, and this is how it's looking. So we just now repeat those 4 rows from rows 2 to 5 again. So that's it. So what we're going to do now is do our last double crochet in the very last stitch, but instead of finishing that off, that's when we change colours again. Okay, so we bring in the next colour and start all over again with row 2. All right, so I'll do the next kind of 4 rows with you. So remember, we chained 2 in this round, and we do the treble 4 together in the next stitches. So that is 1, 2, 3 and 4, and go through all of those, chain 3 and double crochet into the next stitch. So we are now doing the other side of our circles, our Catherine wheels. So we're going to chain 3, and we're going to do that again, only with 9. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Pull through all of our stitches, chain 3 and a double crochet. So what I've noticed is I'm wondering why it was a little tight, and somehow I've managed to change crochet hooks to a smaller one. So that's why that's kind of looking a little tighter in places. Okay, So that's our repeat then. Chain 3, treble 9 together, chain 3, double crochet, all the way to the end, where we'll finish off the other half of our circle. So I'll pause the video then and I'll catch up with you at the end of this row. Okay, so at the end, don't forget the chain 3, and we do the last 5 together. And our last one, and we're going to chain 1, then chain 2 and turn. Okay, so in this row we do in this space that we have just created, so the stitch we've come out of, we're going to do 4 UK trebles. And then in the double crochet from the previous row, we're going to do a double crochet. And then in the space where all of our stitches meet there, we're going to do 9 UK trebles. So we're on that row. So basically, the rows 1 and 3 are very similar, rows 2 and 4. You just start at a different part. So, you know, your circles here, your circles here, your circles here. Okay, I've lost count talking. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then double crochet into double crochet. Gotta say, it looks a little bit better with the smaller hook. Don't know how I managed to do that. Okay, so that's our repeat then. I'm going to pause the video. Let's get this tail. I didn't cut it off. That's why it's still there. We'll move that out of the way. Okay, unless you work over them, you're going to have quite a few tails when you're changing colour with this. But you can work over them and incorporate them. I just haven't done that for this. So I shall pause it then and catch up with you at the end of this row. And we will change colour and start row 4. I know it's not row 4, but it's row 4 of the pattern. Okay, so in the last loop that holds all our stitches together there, we're going to do 5 UK trebles. Changing colour on that last one. Snip it off this time and I'm going to bring in the white again and just finish that stitch with the new colour. Okay, just going to pull that down for now because it's getting baggier. Okay, so going to ignore those, and row 4. If you were finishing your work, you would finish on a row 4. Is it 4? Is it 5? Bear with me a sec, just got to check my notes. Yes, this is 4, of course it is. And then obviously we wouldn't do the 5th because we want to end, where we wouldn't want to, unless you want to end on a row of kind of scallops, then this is the row you would end on at the end of the work. So we're going to chain 3 and we're going to treble crochet 9 together again. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a lot of loops on a hook like this. So all the way through, chain 3, double crochet in the next one. So that's all we've done. We've now shifted where our Catherine wheels are. Okay, chain 3. Don't forget the chain 3, it's very important. And we're going to do our 9 together again. Okay, so I shall pause that then, catch up with you at the end of this round. Okay, so I've finished my last, I've chained 1, so I'm going to chain my last 2 and then double crochet into that last stitch. Okay, so if that was how we were going to end our work, on a nice straight line as we started it, then that's the one we would do. So if you didn't want to and you wanted to carry on, you would turn your work, you would do a double crochet in the first stitch, 9 UK trebles in the loop, a double crochet, 9 trebles, a double crochet, 9 trebles, a double crochet, 9 trebles, and a double crochet, and you would carry on, returning back to row 2, change colour obviously. And this would have looked a lot better if I had done that in the first row, but I didn't, so my bad. That's it then. That's how to do the Catherine wheel stitch. I hope you liked that. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be informed when new videos pop up. Bye-bye for now. Hi everyone. Welcome back to Crochet Rocks, Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do this perfect rectangular granny. So I have done rectangular grannies before, I've done videos and I've done blankets on them, but I've just given you the the stitch count. I haven't given you how to convert it. Also, I have perfected it because I'm always striving to perfect things even more before I bring them to you. And this is by far the best one I've ever done. And I've used a DK, it's quite a substantial kind of DK, not one of the thinner ones, in this lovely turquoise colour. But for this tutorial, I'm going to use the sea green. And I am going to use 2 size of crochet hooks, which is how I've made it even better. So I'm going to use a 4mm. This is DK. What does it say size of crochet hook on the actual yarn band? Although it is just a guide. It doesn't give me one. Oh, it says 4. So it recommends a 4, but DK weights, when they're not thin, I usually go for a 4.5, and I'm going to use a 4.5 for this, but I need a 4 to make my chain. Okay, so I'm going to make a slip knot, which you can do however you normally do. And for this, we need a multiple of 3 plus 2. And I don't want this chain to be loose, which is why I've chosen a 4mm. Okay, so I'm just going to make a swatch with you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We'll do 3 more, and then I'll change my hook at the end of my 3. And for the 2, I'm going to chain 2 with this size. Okay, so in my 3rd chain, so 1, 2 in the 3rd, I'm going to place 2 UK treble crochets, which are double crochets in the US. So yarn over, and we're going to go into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're going to do another one in the same stitch, exactly the same stitch. So that is 3 altogether, because those first 2 chain count as my first stitch. And I'm going to chain 1. And in the very next chain, next to my 3, I'm going to place 3 more, right in the very next chain. So this 3, the first 3, are my side. This chain space is my corner. And now I'm going to skip 2, 1, 2, and in the 3rd, I'm going to place 3 UK treble crochets or US doubles. So if I say UK trebles and you work in American terms, you'll know, my yarn's stuck, you'll know that I mean your double crochets, okay? So there's my third. I'm going to skip 2, and in the next one, if I'm just going to hold this with my fingers so it makes it easier to do. 1, 2, in the third one, I'm going to put 3. And I found that by making that chain a little tighter with the neck size down, well, it's only half, isn't it? Half a size. Crochet hook made all the difference. 1, 2, in the third one, we want 3. We don't want them mega tight, those chains, but we don't want them loose by any means. You can always, if it is a little tight at the end, we're not talking now, but we can always pull it. I'll show you that a little bit later. 1, 2, and in the third, we're going to place 3 again. But this, by doing the tighter chain, you don't get that big loop that appears here. That's about the biggest one we have so far, but they just come out nicely from our chain. So we skip 2, and in this one, we're going to put 3. It's not very big, so I've not paused the video, I've stayed with you. Okay, so we skip 2, 1, 2, and in the second to last, we're going to place our 3. And we're just now going to mimic what's happened at the other end. Okay, so we're going to do 1 chain. In the next chain, the last one, we're going to place 3. So this is our other side at the end. I'm going to chain 1, and now we're going to go back in all of the same spaces that we made our 3 into. So obviously that's the next stitch for us. I'm going to work over the tail. Now normally speaking, I would work this tail in and work over it and do all kinds of burying techniques, but I'm not going to do that with you guys. I'm just going to drop it. So this is our corner now, this chain space, and this one is our side for now. I'm going to leave that tail where it is, and I'll get rid of that bit of fluff, and I'm going to go in each of our 3s, just go into the same space and place 3 more from the other side. So we're just mirroring what's on the other side. 3 in the next segment. And 3 in this one. I'm going to stay with you rather than pause it. And this is how it's looking. It's looking good. It's a shame this yarn is a little bit darker than the other yarn, but it's a nice different colour from the hook, so easier to see. It's curling up a little bit at the end, but never mind. We've got this one to go in. And now we're going to go into this one here, which is our last one. And here's where things are different if you're keeping the same colour yarn or if you're changing your colour. If you're changing your colour, I chain 1 and slip stitch to the top of, like this, slip stitch into the top of my first stitch. Like that. Slip stitch, and I would chain 1, pull it down, cut my yarn, pull it through and end off, and then I would just start over here at a different corner. But I'm carrying on with the same colour. So what I do now, instead of that, is into my top chain. So I don't know if I've got in the right space there. There's 1, there's 2. Yeah, so into our top chain, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of them. So we've done a UK double crochet, which is a single crochet in the US into that top chain. So it's given us the same size space as this one over here. Now, normally speaking, I would do a stack double crochet or a stack single crochet, but I want my segments to be the same size, and that stack gives me a stitch that is a little fatter than the others. So I'm just going to chain 2, and then in that space, that same space, I'm going to make 2 UK treble crochets. So that space we've just created. So we've got 3 altogether with our 2 chain. I'm not chaining, and I'm going to go straight into this one because this is half of a corner, and in this one I'm going to place a full corner. So I'm going to place 3 UK treble crochets. I'm going to chain 1 and place 3 more in the same space, just the same as we do for any granny square corner. Okay, now we're just going to do 3 in between all of our granny square segments. Well, granny rectangle segments. So 3 in between each of our clusters then. Whoops, does help if you carry the yarn with you. Never mind. Just like that. Okay, so I'm going to pause it then, and I'll catch up with you when I get to the very last one. Okay, so I've just done my last one, and now we're here at the corners. So we've got this one here as our side. I'm going to place a full corner in this one here. So that's our cluster of 3, chain 1, 3 more in the same space. I'm not going to chain, I'm just going to go straight over here to the next space and place another corner. Okay, so now we've made our 2 corners and our side is growing. Okay, so see what I mean about this. If you think that is a little bit on the tight side, if you grab either end and give it a little tug, you can pull it out a little bit. But of course, when you're working on it, it will pull out. Okay, so we're going to place 3. I haven't caught that tail by. I don't know. Just drop that. 3 in each of our long sides in each of our spaces until we get to our very first corner. Okay, so I'm going to pause it then, and I want you to do 3 in each of these. I'll catch up with you once we get back to this corner again. Okay, so as I said, if it was a little bit puckered, a bit tight, then just grab at either end where you've got your 3 and give it a little pull, and it'll just pull it out nicely. Pull these chains out a little nicely. Okay, so now we're at the other half of our corner. We're going to place 3 more in there. Okay, so we're now at the end again. So if I were changing colour now, I would cut this yarn, but I would just slip stitch into this one here. Let's do a chain, slip stitch into this one, just so that we've got a chain space either end. I'd start at the other end and I would then start my new colour. But I'm going to carry on in this colour. So once again, in the top of our 2 chain, you can go in anyhow you want. I'm going to do my UK double crochet or single US in there. So now I've finished my corner. Okay, we'll do another round and we'll do our 2 chains, and in that space between our segments we are going to do 2 UK treble crochets, which is 3 altogether with our 2 chains. Now you'll notice we've got this space in our side at the end. No chain between, but we're going to place 3 in there. We're back to another corner, so we're going to complete that by putting a full corner in there. And now we're going to place 3 in every single one all the way along. 3 in all of our spaces until we get to this corner. Place a full corner, 1 in this end, full corner, and then 3 in all of our spaces all the way to here. So I'm going to pause it. I'll catch up with you when we get to this corner. We'll go around this corner together and I'll see you there. Okay, so we're at the corner. I'm going to place a full corner in here. And we're back on our side again. And we're going to place 3 in that one along the side. And now a full corner to complete that side. If I go too fast for you, then by all means just pause me for a sec. Okay, so what we're going to do now is 1 in every one of those 3. So I'm going to pause it, then I'll catch up with you when we get to this corner, and we will change colour on this round, so I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so here we are. Got my last 3 to do. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to find my top chains. I'm going to slip stitch into there, chain 1, pull it down. Going to cut this yarn off, leave a nice long tail because you might want to weave that in, or you might want to work over it. If I work over it, what I normally do is I just weave it. I grab my hook and I weave it along, just going in the top part of my stitches, and the front loop there and the back loop, just go along there, and now it's there so I can work over it. That's what I would normally do if I'm working over. So I'm just going to remove my sea green and I'm going to bring in another colour, which happens to be white, and we'll get rid of that end. So I don't join here. I don't want to work over 2 tails for a start. I shall work over 1, and I'm just going to pop my hook in there. Where's my end gone? There it is. My genie took it. Okay, so just pull my yarn through and join my yarn. You can join yours however you normally do. And I'm going to do 2 chains. I'm going to do my tail with my first one, and then I'm going to place 2 UK treble crochets in that same space. Now normally I would carry my yarn and work over it, but I'm going to drop it so it doesn't get confusing. And now that's half a corner. I'm just going to place my 3 crochet trebles in here, my UK trebles for my segments in my grannies. And so you might notice I don't change direction with my granny squares or my granny rectangles, and this is because I never find that my granny squares twist. And I believe the reason that my granny squares don't twist where others do is because I don't chain between these segments. I only do 1 chain in my corners, and I never chain between them. And so when I'm going to do the next one, you'll see this here is what makes it slant. That's what gives the illusion of a slanting square. If you look at this, this one fans that way, this one stands upright, and this one fans over here. And if I chained and then went in there, you see this fan. But if you don't, when you work over that slant, and you're pulling this one, which will slant this way. So all you see is the upright portion of the stitch. Okay, so you can place your 3 in there, and you still have one that slants this way, one that slants this way, and one upright. But as you can see, excuse me, you don't see that slant over part. You just see your stitches, and that's why we don't get that illusion of the twisting granny. Okay, so I'm doing my 3 in each of these all the way to the corner. I'll stay with you because it's not very long, this one. Thought I had another interruption then, guys. I'd have a few. People keep bringing parcels and delivering mail and all sorts of things, and before I got started. Okay, so I'm back at the corner, and this one does look a little irregular because I changed colour there, or ended off rather. But you won't see that once we've done our corner. So we're going to place our 3, chain 1 and 3 more, which is going to hide our join, or our ending off rather than join. Okay, so now we're at our first side. We've got 2 spaces now, because as we know, when we're doing grannies, they grow, each side grows. So I'm going to work over this tail that I've brought with me. And just in case that wasn't enough, I can now bring it with me along that bit, along this edge. If you want to do the same again, you just go through the top part of the stitch, take it along, and now I can work over it again. And the way I like to work my tails in is I'll now do that for the last time, because I'll take it to the corner. And now it's at the corner. I will place 6 stitches in this corner, and that will definitely be the last time I'll have to hide it. You could, if you wanted to, sew it back the other way at the end. I'll show you what I mean. Our last 3 of the corner. So this tail has been worked in. You can't see it at all. It's safe to just snip it off. I like to just pull it slightly so it will disappear inside that stitch. But if you wanted to, you could just get your darning needle and sew it back through for extra security, but mine never pop out. Okay, so now we're going to place 3 in every single space along our side. Okay, all the way to the corners, all the way along here. So I shall pause it, catch up with you, and we'll do the corners and finish this bit off together. Okay, so my hook fell out. Okay, so at the corner, so we're going to do our full corner here. Chain 1 and our full corner here. So I'm going to end off at the end of this colour, but obviously you can make this as big as you want. And I'm going to show you how to do the invisible end off. So stick with me. I'm just doing 3 in my last 2 along this side. Even if you do the invisible end off, you can still join it and go again later if you wanted to. and last 3 in this side here, corner here I mean. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1 and cut my yarn and pull that through there, and I'm going to get my darning needle and I'm going to thread all this up. Okay, so I've got my chain for my space, and now I'm going to find the top of my chain and I'm going to go back to front, from the back on the 2 loops, on the back to the front, and I've pulled that together, okay? And now I'm going to go through this and downwards through the stitch, okay? So now I'm going to pull that, and we've got, I don't want to pull it too tight, I can open it up a bit more. There we are. So that is now my space there, and I'm going to hold on to this and secure it. So it's not going to grow anymore, but I'm going to go into this stitch, kind of go back on myself. Where's that? I made my tail too long. Get rid of that. Oh goodness, come out. Trying to not. Right, okay, hold on to this. Pull this out. There we are. So I've got my loop. Hold on to this so it doesn't get any bigger. And then we go backwards through that stitch. Pull it tight. Do it gently, otherwise it sometimes can get misshapen. So I just need to bury this through my corner. For some reason it's not wanting to go through there. Why are you not going through there? There we are. Okay, so we're going to go through. And then I like to split this one stitch here and go back the other way. I've got a feeling my darning needle might be a little blunt for this. Okay, so we go back the other way. And we can do that again if we want to. Just split this stitch and go back through, and you can come out at the centre or wherever you want to come out. I'm going to go all the way to the end. Okay, so that's that one, and I shall snip that off, and then all I have to do is bury the tail here and the one where I started. But that is how, let's move this out of the way, I make my seam free and perfect granny rectangle. But just a little note that if you're going to do you want the sort of segments of colour to look the same, that because this first one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, doing 6 might give you the same effect, but it's just to kind of judge it with your eyes. Or maybe with my other blanket that I did a tutorial for, I did use a variegated colour and solid colours. It looks really quite nice that way. But yeah, don't forget, if your centrepiece is just that little bit tight, you can always pull it a little bit, open it up. But that's how I made my perfect granny rectangle. Hope you like that. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye for now.